point is that we had somebody at significantly lower cost, and
you recall that I gave you we haven't done this and we haven't done that, and we have this mess and we have that mess in your IT discussion, and that's part of the reason. Because that person did not have the skills to lay a plan, to talk to vendors, to find what we needed. That's why we are where we are.
But we farm some of those critical components to an outside entity. That's my, typically when you bring in an outside entity and a consulting entity for IT, it's a project-based engagement typically. You don't bring them in to supplement staff. You bring them in for certain, subject matter expertise in certain areas. Like for example, if you do, it's well, I don't know if I wouldn't even call it a retainer. I mean, you put out RFP because each project is different. It's unique. It requires a different set of expertise, a different skill set for the resources, and so typically when we've done IT projects and had consultants come in, we've done those on a case-by-case basis. All right, and each one of them has done RFP. Each one of them has done through some sort of bid process. Okay, and then.
Steve, could I interject for just a second?
Yes, absolutely.
I appreciate.
No,
and actually, I appreciate the level of sophistication that you bring to the issue. I'm curious as to the size of the organization that you're used to working with. I mean, you're in hospital information technology administration.
Absolutely. We're representing a city of 20,000, and my organization is about 20,000 employees. And I understand that an employee is different from a constituent, but since the constituent's paying the bills, I think that we need to manage our process with a higher level of sophistication and understanding that we have to be able to, at the end of the day, justify our use of the taxpayer dollar. And I think that particular process does the best.
So you're making an argument for the network administrator because otherwise we had a junior level person trying to do just exactly what you said.
Well, I also want to see if we're going to engage outside resources, we need to do it smart, and not necessarily throwing them $10,000 a month and then trusting them to be to make themselves accountable is almost an honor system at that point. And as long as that contract's enforced.
Well, we're talking about filling a vacant position and adding a network administrator
for 2013, based on the urgency of what you just described, instead of waiting until 14.
Right.
So what will happen with that $10,000 per month contract?
That was my question.
Well, once you get some additional staff in here, you won't need a contract at that level.
Okay. Do we have a contract for $10,000 a month, or we just have a? What do? Is that a contract that was approved?
It's open. It depends on what.
Was that approved by council?
It was a block time arrangement.
What does that mean?
It means as needed, because we didn't have anyone in here for IT at all.
I mean, doesn't that require?
10,000? No, it's not a contract, so it wasn't a multi-year agreement. It wasn't executed. It's under City Administrator Harrison Lee's authority.
But I mean, there is a requirement to get bids if it goes above $5,000.
I interviewed 3 vendors a while back to identify AOS, and I went through the process.
But
I didn't know that it was $10,000 because that was when we still had staff. So it was for a supplementary
arrangement. Back in October.
I'm sorry?
I said the first expenditure that I saw was back in October.
I interviewed it last year.
And that took us for 6 months. That was $5,000. Actually, it was $4,900. So I guess when we had the emergency of having to fill that position, did we go out and get bids in March?
No, sir.
But now we're 60. How many thousands, tens of thousands of dollars? At least I've seen at least 30, maybe $40,000.
It's more than that.
Yeah, I mean, by the time how much do you think we spent? I guess what I'm saying is, it seems like in March when we had the calamity, we should have gone out and got some additional bids, because right now we're just writing checks, it seems, and we don't even know if that's the most competitive way to go.
I know, and I can appreciate, and I think that's a question that needs to be answered. I know that our newest council member probably has a question about the budget. Which is what the work session's about. So I was thinking, while we still have time, and the clock's running.
I didn't really have a specific question, but I agree with Councilman Shute and Harrison about the merit increase. I think it should be higher than 1%. I think we need to retain the people we have and keep good people. so we don't keep losing people. And I also want to re-mention maybe the shared funds with the electric utility board and the electric Gardner Energy. I think there's a resource there that maybe we need to pursue. And I didn't really have any specific questions, just pretty much statements. So,
I had one question about the transient guest tax
Mhm.
fund. What are the revenues for that now?
About 30,000 a year.
And we're spending that, I mean, that's all.
Part of it goes to the chamber, and you're funding the museum, you're funding little piece to each theater group. That's about it.
So the Economic Development Corporation is supplied by.
It's coming out of the general fund right now.
That changed in 2012?
Yeah, we changed it back. Mhm.
And you don't see the guest tax coming up to the point where it can support both organizations?
Not unless you want to start raising it, but no, not based on the trending that I've seen. It's pretty steady at 29 to 30 a year and has been for several years. Now, I only get that, I think it's quarterly, but
But how did it get, you know, we've basically drawn down on a reserve from that fund for years. How did it get so high? What changed to take it from, I mean, we had, for a while there, it seems like we had $60,000, $70,000 in the bank account, and we drew down on that, I guess. How did we get to that level, you know?
whatever. No, the Economic Development Committee makes those decisions.
Okay.
I just implement them.
We're just about out of time. I'm going to close the work session because we've got 3 minutes before council meeting is supposed to start. I'm going to suggest that we start the council meeting in 5 minutes, give everybody a chance to have a break to get a drink or make use of the sanitary facilities. Thanks. We'll be back in session in just about 5 minutes.
Hey, how you doing? Thank you, sir. Jerry Cohen. Nice to meet you. Your name? Oh, I kind of have that. Are you going to go back up? You know that? Hey, how you doing? This is Jerry Cohen. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I do too. I got some shoes to fill, and I know that. And I'm trying to do my best. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Feel free to drop by anytime. You have a question? We had that special to get ready. Okay. That's your lead way back here.
Well, we didn't have to go there.
I thought we were going to go. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. How you doing? Oh, yeah, Robert. All right. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? My name's Walter. I'm glad to have you guys. Happy New Year. Yeah, I was actually down at the station today. It was right on Friday. Okay, I might go. So, no, gentlemen, I want everyone to understand that the alarm bells will go off. You better turn on this PA system or something.
Microphone numbers a little up. Brought down.
Yeah, we did. We got very, very good. How you doing?
Very good, how are you? It's a big line out like that right there real well.
Hanging in there.
Went up the ox.
What is it?
Just kidding, I can live without.
You're up to strikers? Go to strikers? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
First Monday of every month.
Yeah. They have a gang there? They have a lot of people there?
Yeah, it looks like everything's good for now. Now, we're behind you on them 100%.
Good, thank you. Well, I think we're going to try and watch this. Is Jerry do all the calling?
Yeah, well, Jerry, Jerry
But,
called out tonight, right?